Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to the DrEnderPickles Show. Today we have two very special guests. Technically the same person at one point, so I don't know if you could say two. Maybe one squared. I don't know. We have on policemike55 and original.
Plural.
How am I gonna do this? It's policemike55 and then Barris. We'll say Barris, guys.
We could clarify.
Yeah.
Everyone, a lot of people in the community that have been around, they do know that my real name is Lucas. So that does work for me.
Okay, so we have Lucas here. He was the, I guess you could say, sus imposter police Mike for a couple years there. The police Mike that I knew very well, that I was really good friends with. And then we have the actual original police Mike here. What's up, my dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Where have you been? Where were you all this time?
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of got way into Minecraft playing 2b2t and end of 2015, I think I kind of just completely gave up on the server. So I ended up meeting Lucas. I think I was just playing one of the last times I was playing, and we kind of just started talking and we got on a call and we were talking about the server. And after a while, I was like, hey, do you want my account? And then I sold it to him, and then we just kept in touch a little bit, but we didn't talk that much. But yeah, that's basically how it all started.
Yeah, and like,
Mhm.
what was the selling price that you sold the account for?
It was not a lot. I mean, obviously, the police mic name didn't mean anything back then. Do you remember, Lucas? It was like 40 bucks.
Yes,
40.
it was. So what actually it started off with, I mean, I saw you in the server. A lot of people didn't even recognize who you were, but I did. And I snatched on that opportunity to try to talk to you more. So then we messaged on Skype. We were calling, and then you, like you said, you offered to sell that account, and I bought the a blackmail account for $50. And that was originally for the veteran queue. At that point,
Yeah.
I had no intentions of doing anything with it. And then, from my perspective, what happened after that is so I logged into the a blackmail account, and I paid $50 for it. So that's at the time that was like 2.5 months worth of priority queue. Yeah. So so then I logged on and I got a message. I got a DM from Jared 2013, and kind of being a fan of the server and the lore behind it. When I got that DM, I was kind of like a little girl. Like I was fangirling big time. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And he's like trying to invite me. I can't remember what the conversation was about or the context behind it, but that's kind of where it started
Now, was this
because
when you were on the police mic account or the?
no,
Oh, this was
I
a
never,
blackmail account.
yeah.
Okay.
So I logged into the alt account first, and so I can't remember, but one thing led to another, and we were talking, and I never really said I was him or wasn't. I wasn't really trying to deny it in any sense, but so he invited me, I think, to like a grief or something, like some small time grief, and I think that's when it really started popping off when people thought that Mike, Police Mike 55 was back on the server, and that's when a lot of the older players that have been around that knew Mike, they especially at that time, Oxymoron was starting a base called Ragnarok One, I believe, and he was inviting people that were pre June 2016. And since I Police Mike was back on, uh, I just got the invite from there, and I built connections with all those older players, and it kind of built from there. At that point, once I was kind of in that group, in the circle, then I kind of expanded from there, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess kind of my question now is, did you two stay in contact? After he initially sold you that account, was there any kind of like back and forth messages until it got brought up that you weren't the real police Mike?
I can speak for that. We had each other on Snapchat, I believe, and we didn't talk that often. Like after I sold the accounts, we weren't super in communication, but a couple times he messaged me. I think you wanted to like get the email for one of the accounts to like make it so it's yours, or like change the password or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I took the Gmail.
Yeah. So we didn't talk that much. I mean, I was super busy with stuff that was going on in my life, and honestly, like once I sold it, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this guy he's probably impersonating me and all that. Like, I just sold my Minecraft account because I was done playing the game.
Yeah, you kind of moved
I
on
do
quickly.
remember, actually, sorry to cut in. I
Oh,
do
it's alright.
distinctly remember we were DMing at one point, and I did say something along the lines of like someone thinks it's me or someone thinks it's you that I'm playing or whatever. And I don't think even at the time it really was like the biggest of a deal.
Yeah, because that's
No.
kind of
I think we
a
both
cool
looked
concept
overlooked
to
it.
me, because it's like, he's kind of said, good riddance with the server, kind of taking a break from it, and kind of
Right.
passed the torch on to somebody else. Even if it isn't, legitimately him. I mean, he's kind of just passing the torch, passing on the name to someone else, which I guess wasn't kind of a big deal at the time.
Yeah. I definitely get that. And looking back on the server, it never really was this whole idea to steal this identity and do all of this. It was a role playing server for me. And
Yeah,
I played this role as Police Mike 55 and I mean that's really what it came down to.
yeah. Because me and Lucas, we talked. I don't know. It was probably a couple months ago. We like
Mhm.
kind of just linked up and we had like a really long Discord call and just kind of like this, just talked about everything. And I remember Lucas saying how when he first started playing, people recognized the name, like because they're like, "Oh, this guy's back." I remember him when I used to play with him, and at first he wasn't trying to impersonate me. It was kind of just like he got included in all this stuff, and it was like kind of just happened. And
Yeah, well, I started digging the hole
yeah,
and then I couldn't get
you
out.
said that you're like digging yourself into a hole, and it's like, well, I'm already this deep. Might as well just keep going with it.
Yeah, at that point, you got to keep trucking
It's
along.
impossible to get out.
Yeah. So let's take it back for a little bit before we get into some of the juicier questions about the process of being Police Mike. I want to know from Police Mike, when did you join 2B? When did you find 2B in the first place?
So first found the server on Facebook Studios on the forums because I was a pretty big Gmod player back then. And there was like one of the like sections of the forum was like other servers for other games, and there was a pretty long running 2B2T thread on there. And I don't know what made me join it. I kind of just saw it and it sounded really interesting, and it was like V5, V6, so like a lot of threads were made about it. And I just decided to join one day, and in terms of the time frame, I remember it was when Shears got added to Minecraft, and it was beta 1.6.6, if I remember correctly. And I remember just spawn was a lot less messed up, and there was an Obsidian platform. I mean, this was like 2011, so 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. But yeah, I just started playing, and then since I was from Face Punch, there was a whole Face Punch Republic thing, and that's kind of where I got my start. And I got a little bit of like people knew about me because I like kind of led it a little bit, and like you can watch like the video of Luke griefing. It was in the Fit video where he was griefing a base I was in, and that was one of the Face Punch bases originally. So yeah, that's basically how it all started.
Oh, so by griefing that base, you were able to get in contact with him,
Oh, in contact with who?
with Lucas.
Yeah, basically we kind of had this like rivalry because after that there was a lot of things that happened down the road. As you know, I think it was known as Passy Town, the one with the dome that Pop Bob made, like the biodome or whatever. That got griefed by Luke. So it was kind of like this long running thing where he griefed me a long time ago, and then years later he griefed me again. So it's like we're always hate each other basically. So it
Oh
definitely
wait,
started.
wow. So Lucas, when did you initially join 2B?
Oh wait. When I say Luke, I mean Luke to the bun, not
Oh
Yeah,
God, I was
he
about to
doesn't mean
say like,
me.
okay,
Sorry.
yeah, you said Luke. I thought you said
Yeah,
Lucas for a second there. I was like, wait a minute.
you
yeah,
just call
yeah.
me
That was
Fake
way
Mike
back.
or
Well, what do you
Darius.
remember about Luke to the Bun?
He was very vengeful. If you think of someone that spends way too much time on 4chan, that kind of guy. So he was kind of similar to Pop Bob. I mean, he wasn't as autistic as Pop Bob, I would say, but he definitely was kind of like just his main goal was just to grief people and be known as a griefer. That's how I see him as. And I mean, that's basically how he got well known, was just griefing people and then uploading the videos onto YouTube.
Yeah, and like, what was kind of like your highlight before leaving 2B? What was kind of the highlight of your experience on the server?
Definitely when we backdoored the server. I have a great story about that if you want me to explain
Yeah, go ahead.
what led to that. So this was with Pop Bob. Like, he was pretty good at coding in Java. So it was me, Pop Bob, Passy, I think, trying to think of other people, XCC2, and a couple other people. I can't remember all of them right now. But basically, in that time period, there was the glitch where if you logged off in a certain spot in the Nether, you could end up on the Nether roof. And when you're up there, you couldn't move because this was before they increased the height limit. You're kind of glitched up there. So we had the idea. It's like, let's make a plugin for 2b2t where if you type !stuck, it'll teleport you down. But Pop Bob knew that we could get more out of it, because obviously we're not just going to make this plugin for him and not get something out of it. So basically he made a backdoor in it, and it would check for our names. So our group, it would check for our names. And if our names matched it, it would allow us to have basically operator status, have creative and spawn items. And that was the first instance of any kind of backdoor. So that's when the first illegal items came out. And the way
Can I
that
add
we
one thing real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm really glad you're the one explaining it this time.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to get some of these initial questions out of the way so we could kind of get like a baseline for what
This is
actually
awesome.
happened, and then compared to what was said in the original interview. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but continue, Mike.
All right, so the funniest part of it is how we got him to actually install it. So we had to do a little social engineering. So what I did is I made a Minecraft forums account, and it was like some generic name, like Demon Slayer 67, something like that. And I set my avatar as like a picture of Master Chief, so it looks like some kid made this. So I made the post, and I was like, oh, on my server, I've been having a lot of issues with the Nether roof. So I made this plugin, and then I uploaded it to some like Minecraft plugin website, and I linked it in that post. And then I think other people in the group, they made comments on that post saying like, oh, this works so good, like, so they could vouch for it. So basically we sent that forum post to House, like acting like it was not related to us. And he installed it, not like anyone could decompile a plugin and just see like, okay, this is sketch. Like, it's pretty obvious, but he was kind of oblivious back then. Like, he learned, but he also didn't, because it happened again after that. But yeah, he installed it from that. And I know there's a lot of history about what happened during that. I mean, the first like time people visited the end and all that. But yeah, that's what led to it, was some guy with a Master Chief avatar on Minecraft forums.
Lovely, lovely. Got to be Master Chief. Very classy. So now that we kind of got some of those questions out of the way from your experience on 2B, I do want to know from Lucas, when did you decide that you wanted to fully impersonate Police Mike? You were going to go all in and just be Police Mike.
Yeah, that's a great question. It never really was that in my head. I never really asked that and kind of answered with my actions, unless it really was when Oxy did invite me to that older player base where there was all these older players, and I knew I could connect a lot with all these cool people that I've looked up to for so long. And I mean, for not crazy long, but I've been watching a lot of videos even before the server started, so it was kind of like I had a general idea on the history more than the average player. And it was really cool to get that invite. And as a brand new player being invited to all these players you look up to on the server, I mean, anyone in their right mind is going to say yes. I didn't have the intention of putting up this front that I'm the actual real policemike55. It's just that just kind of came with it. And like I said before, I just dug that hole. And when I got at that base, I got invited to Ragnarok 2 after that, and there's just no getting out of it, really.
Yeah, and like, how much research did that take to achieve Police Mike? Did you do much research? Did you just kind of wing it on most of it? What was kind of the preparation behind answering some questions that people had?
Yeah, if you actually look back on the interviews, which I have never watched the full interview with myself, if when you go back now, you can easily tell that I was drunk, highly intoxicated. I I was super nervous. I don't know what to say, and I knew if I drank a lot, I could just figure something out. I kind of used alcohol as a clutch for a lot of those senses, especially that I was going through a tough time for a while there. So kind of that to be that Mike being called Mike in that role was another part of my life. I went to work 9 to 5. I'd get off, and I was in the military, and it could be pretty stressful. And if you don't really conform to the military, then you're kind of just miserable because you don't have anyone to be around or talk to. So I kind of use Tubi as that escape for me for a while. And with that being said, I didn't think of myself as Mike. It was just this role that I kind of played, and when I wanted to escape after work and kind of go off into my own world. I don't know if I'm ranting. I don't even remember what the question was. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I encourage ranting, trust me. So, kind of a segue from that, as you said, you were on the show. You were the fourth guest I had on, and what was kind of going through your mind during what that you remember during that interview?
um, During that interview, I remember, like I said, I was actually pretty intoxicated, but I
That's
think I
gonna be
was
a funny
just answering
re-listen.
I was answering questions to the broadest degree as I possibly could. If if you look back, I never go into any specifics once you ask like a question about the history of the account.
I mean, that's a
Because
skill, though.
obviously,
That's a skill.
right, and it's one of those social skills where I'm not a sociopath, but it's if if you have 3 out of the 4 pieces of information and you, without being asked, if you say, hey, here's your name, address, and mother's maiden name, but I don't know your social security number, the other person might just assume that you do. I'm just using that as an example, but it's kind of like if you present all the information, but not every single thing, and then sometimes that other end will provide that last piece of information for you.
Yeah, and kind of
Yeah.
speaking on that, was there ever kind of a point where someone who had more information about it, like XCC or Jared, about who Police Mike was there ever a point where you almost got caught, but kind of saved it?
Um, I never really got. I mean, people. I don't think anybody was suspicious. There was a guy named Nordic, 9383, something like that. He was in the Spawn Masons, and the first time we talked in voice call, he was like, "You're the fake police, Mike," and I was like, "What?" He had no clue, but he had this superstition, and every time I talked to him, that was always weird. But nobody else besides that ever for a second thought because it really was at this transitional period where we were going from Skype to Discord, and Tubi is a community where you don't really know everyone's accounts and all their information's in their background, so you kind of just get what you get. And in a lot of those cases, it just happens to be a Discord account. So when Discord came out and that started blowing up, the original Mike here, he didn't have the a Discord account. So then I kind of just filled in that gap and nobody questioned it from there really.
So yeah, I have a question for Mike, kind of his perspective on this. When did you discover that Barris had been impersonating you this entire time? Who came to you with that information? Um, like as it was kind of coming out publicly.
So I believe it was Tristan. I had him on Snapchat and he sent me a message just talking about like, yo, I think he sent me the post that Lucas made where it was like explaining the history, and that's kind of like where things started falling apart. And he was like, "Did you write this?" I was like, "No, I did not." So that was kind of like that was the big moment where I realized like, oh, so he wasn't just like using my account, he was like playing the part, you know? So that was like the moment. And I know Tristan took those screenshots and posted them on the subreddit. So basically that was the event that caused it. Cause I know in the fit video, he talks about basically that was Lucas's mistake was posting that like summary of Police Mike and all that. So yeah, that's when I really found out like Oh, like it kind of surprised me because I completely forgot about it. Like I never thought about 2B2T at all, and then it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and Lucas, when Tristan or whenever that description was put out, right? What ultimately got you caught? Like from your perspective, as you saw it unfold, what ultimately got you caught? And did you kind of have
Um,
any idea? Did anyone have any idea you were lying before it came out?
no, I don't. Like I said before, I don't think anybody had any preconceptions that I was lying, but at the same time, I think people around me knew that there was some sort of deception going on. I don't think they knew to what degree I was going to with it. But I think what really actually got me caught was I this wasn't my account. It's really difficult to build a name up for someone that's not yourself, if that makes sense. But it's kind of like, well, I didn't have a choice at that point, so that's really what I went with. And I didn't want to remain anonymous or never. I wanted the story to come out eventually. I knew that 100%. So when it did come out, it didn't really bother me. I knew it was going to happen. It was because I was chasing clout, honestly. I I knew I wasn't going to be around for too long. I was going to call it at some point, or I was going to say it myself, which was awesome that I Tristan did it. But it was only a matter of time because I was doing all these interviews and all this stuff, and it led up to the very end with me starting the purge. And the purge with that came with a lot of notability, and with that notability, people took a lot more notice of me in this account of the policemike55, and that's honest to God, if I didn't do the purge or do anything with a lot of clout, I don't think I Tristan would have even cared or anyone else. It's when I really hit that peak pinnacle of, all right, we gotta see what's going on with this guy, you know.
Yeah, I got you. And Mike, like this situation, would you say this is kind of the reason that you returned to the community after all this happened, or what was kind of the spark that brought you back if it wasn't that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't ever have the intention of playing again. I don't have the intention of playing again, but it was cool. Like when that YouTube video came out, someone sent me and I probably watched it like a couple times because I was just in disbelief that like this video was made and it was like actually pretty accurate for the most part. But I don't know, it was just like
Yeah, that
it
must
was
be
cool.
insane leaving something behind and it just drawing you back in without you even being aware.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, there was like this part of my life that like I just left in the past. I mean, I had fun, but it definitely was not healthy how much I played Minecraft when I was younger. Like I'll be honest. But when it came out, it was kind of like I got like all the nostalgia. And it, like kind of reminded me of all the times I had on the server, and I just kind of wanted to like reach out to people and just talk to them, you know? Because I mean, there's a little bit of like it was funny because I was talking to Lucas and he was like, if it wasn't for he said if it wasn't for him, Police Mike wouldn't be popular, and like that's so true because like
I don't want to say that in a bad way. Like,
no no
it,
no no not at all.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was a point where like I kind of want to be included in the community a lot, but like I still have a lot. I'm super busy in real life and all that, but it was nice to like get in touch with people. Like I talked to Passy and XCC2 and all of them and Jared. Like so I've talked to them a little bit. So it was kind of like a way to like just kind of reminded me of 2B2T and I just was able to reach out to people that I was really good friends with back when I played.
Yeah, what were their thoughts on that? XCC and Passy and Jared and all them who were kind of under the impression that that was the real Police Mike.
I mean, they weren't like a lot of them said like they didn't really care that he was fake. Like, I mean, Lucas is a really cool dude, and honestly, he was probably a lot more outgoing and like social than I was
So
when I
true.
played.
Thank you. Oh God, stop.
Yeah, because like I mean, when I played, I was it was a long time ago, 10 years ago. I was just there to fucking do just like build stuff and like grief stuff and all that. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't like super into the community. Like I had like a good amount of friends, but Lucas, like I mean, he was parts of all these movements and all that. So I give Lucas so
I,
much credit, and he
I,
deserves it.
I appreciate it. I will add on that. I like when I did take the account and took that identity, I never really had any malice in me. It was more just I love this community. I love hanging out with all these awesome like characters, and that's kind of what it came to be. I was just getting in touch with the community and never really turned violent or anything negative in any way.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't use it for any kind of like you didn't use it like for any kind of bad. Like, if anything, it was just like a good starting point, you know, because like
Yeah.
everyone's obsessed with join dates, and you get instant respect just because I started playing in 2012 and all that. So
Mhm.
I if I was in your position, I would probably do the same thing, and I think it's really cool what you were able to do because
Mhm.
if I was still into it and I was playing consistently, I wouldn't have done like half the things you were
Oh,
able to do.
that's something I could never do. I will touch on that on the fit video. I know you said a little thing or a couple things about that, but you said it was true from your perspective. From me, I was just getting roasted the whole time.
Yeah,
This
that's what I
this
kind of alluded
loser took his
to.
cape mannerisms and all of his stuff, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
that's
outrage that came
brutal.
from that
The
in the fit
mannerisms.
video. Yeah, what was kind of the initial reaction after that video came out, and just kind of after the fact that everyone found out that you were hiding that you weren't Police Mike?
Uh, it came on my recommended page on YouTube like 2 weeks after it was released. Because as most people know, I didn't keep playing 2B. I instantly quit. That was my run. I finished, and then I deleted that old Discord account and kind of just cut ties with everyone. I mean, I still have contact with people, obviously, but so it was really weird seeing that video and then watching the video, just me getting roasted the whole time. It was a little painful. But it was all in good name. Fit was using it for good intentions. He wants new players to come and make a name for themselves, and that was kind of the theme of the video. It's that you don't need to be me. You don't need to be this impersonator to make a name for yourself. You could go do these cool things, and I 100% agree with. I was just in a really different scenario than most new players.
And I definitely think it was a unique situation too. The thing about 2B is that it's been on the same version for so long, but people are constantly finding new and interesting ways to either play the game or to be involved in the community, and that's the kind of stuff that people are interested in. I think when it comes to 2B, the stuff that makes history is the stuff nobody's thought about doing, or that nobody's done to such a degree that there's this huge impact. And when you took over that identity and it came out all these years later, like it was just this mind-blowing revelation that nobody had a clue. It was, and obviously, hearing it now that there wasn't this big nefarious plot behind it, which I already knew that probably wasn't the case. Like, it's just crazy that you were able to kind of nonchalantly just be Police Mike. That is a feat in
Yeah,
of itself.
it was actually a lot easier than you would think though, because post 2016 June, a lot of the players that were around in the community weren't the older players because they kind of just bundled in and just stuck with each other. So if you really weren't in that circle, you weren't talking to them. So a lot of the players I was talking to didn't really have any preconceptions of what happened on the server before I was there, or before I was there, before when Mike was still playing. They didn't know what actions he actually did. There was no YouTube videos or any documents like documenting everything, saying what happened or anything crazy like that on the forums. It was just I was on a blank slate pretty much. It wasn't as hard or difficult. I didn't put that much work into it as Fit made it seem.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it was,
kind of like around that time of it coming out that you were impersonating Police Mike. What was kind of the what was the outrage that was coming from Imperium? Because I know you were in Imperium at the time. When did that separation kind of happen with them? And like, do you think it kind of got pushed over the edge, in your
um,
opinion?
God. Um, I don't think there was really anything crazy that happened with Imperium. It was just kind of like, I'm fake. I'm leaving the server now. Peace out, guys. And it's
What was
kind
their
of
opinions on it?
I didn't want to know people's opinions. I was extremely embarrassed that it got to that point, and I kind of sheltered myself from everyone. I didn't care what anyone was saying about me. I was like, I'm just gonna remove myself from this community. So I can't really tell you what their opinions were. I know a lot of people did message me after the fact saying they wanted me to come back, and I'm not using this as an ego boost, but it kind of was like a lot of people did want me back on the server. Even if you look back on the wiki, I know they say something about he's a good player and people want him back, and like one of the last lines, just read it like 30 minutes ago, but
Was there anybody kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum that maybe like said some
yes.
unkosher stuff that kind of scared you off?
There wasn't. It wasn't completely negative, but XCC2 he was a little upset with me, and that was 100% understandable and reasonable. I was lying and deceiving. I was intentionally deceiving him and putting on a front. So I don't get mad at anybody, or I won't be upset if anybody did have any ill intent towards me at the time, especially.
Yeah, so now that we've kind of gone over the big scandal, the big elephant in the room, I kind of want to get to some more personal questions about both of your intentions going forward with the community. And I'll start with you, Lucas. What have you done since leaving 2B, and have you ever considered coming back at any point? Because we want you back, obviously.
I appreciate it. The community's awesome. Honestly, I love 2B. It's there 2B is not a bad group of people. It's a lot of people just putting on this new edgy personality, but deep down there's a lot of really good genuine people. So I don't think I would ever come back for the sole reason that I don't like Minecraft anymore and I I'm an adult. I got things I got to take care of. I don't have as much time as I used to. I got out of the military. So that, and also that role in my life when I needed after work kind of, or that gap is gone now because I live on my own and I kind of do whatever I want, and it's different for me now. So I don't think I would ever come back. I'm sadly maybe in the discords.
Oh yeah, back to talking to some of the people again. Yeah, that's what most people do anyways. You know, I don't think anybody really actually plays the server anymore. It's
That makes sense, honestly.
more of just like a community that talks shit together.
And honest to God, if you want a real like red pill, I don't even know if that's common anymore, that term, but it's when I played on the server for the last maybe 6 months or so, I spent maybe 90% of the time on Discord, kind of just managing because I was a leader of Imperium and Spawn Masons at the same time. So I had a kind of a lot going on. It was taking way more time out of my life than it should have ever, and it did affect me mentally.
Yeah,
It did
and
kind of change me, but it
weren't you also kind of involved in Huggy Town, the Jared stuff around that time as well?
uh, I'm not sure what Huggy Town is, but I was involved with some stuff. There's
Some
Jared and
insider
I.
behaviors. Yeah. When did that?
Jared and
I
I
know you
were
guys
always
were
kind of
friends at
friends.
least. Yeah, I knew you guys were friends. When did like I know we got you had to kind of inside for a little bit. When did you kind of just like choose Imperium over him, or was there a choice? You know, kind of break that down for me. I don't want to try to use any words here to describe it, but I know something happened there.
Actually, I love that you asked that because I could finally touch on this. At the time, I was kind of a double agent in a sense that I never chose a side. I would never give chords to Jared, but I would give him other stuff necessarily, and vice versa. Jared would tell me some information that I would pass on to Imperium, but nothing too personal or whatever, right? It's kind of like I kept both parties happy, and I did that with a lot of people at the same time. So I managed a lot of healthy relationships without compromising compromising in any negative way. So that's kind of how I did that.
Yeah, and Mike, how do you kind of see yourself coming back into the fold? I know you're a little more active on Discord now. You're back in the pre-June Discord. How do you see yourself kind of being involved in the community any further, if at all?
Well, I when I stopped playing, it was mainly because I was just super busy in real life, and I kind of moved on from Minecraft. But still, like there's a lot of people that I was good friends with that I would love to talk to. But I mean, I'm really busy with real life. but there's a lot of people that I would love to talk to. Like I talked to Passy, like I said earlier, I talked to Passy and XCC, and we just talked about like personal stuff, and it was really nice to get in contact with them. But to be honest, I don't see myself being super active, because it's just a lot of like, it's a lot to like do that just because I'm so busy all the time. But I'm super thankful for like all the people that like all the connections I was able to make. But yeah, I don't see myself being super active. Like it's something I can look back on and be like, I'm glad I did that. Like I got Minecraft clout. Like I've had people in real life recognize me. Like I've had people bring up Fit MC, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Police Mike 55, and then they're like, I don't believe you, and then I'll show them like my YouTube account that's Police Mike 55, and they're like, no shit. So I think for going forward, it'll be a little part of me. It'll always be there, but I'm definitely not going to be like make a big comeback or anything like that. Like I'm happy with how things are now.
Yeah, and now that I've kind of gotten, a perspective on the future from both of you, what is kind of and this is a question for both, what is both of your perception of the future for Police Mike, the character, the 2B2T, I guess account? What's happened to it now? Where is it now?
We both have access to it actually. So people don't know this month this interview has kind of been in the works for the last few months. I recently I was the one that kind of said I didn't want to do it because honestly I would gain nothing from being in this interview. I've kind of separated myself from that community, but Mike hit me up and when we kind of talked, I was like, hey man, like you should also have this account too, because we both kind of came to this conclusion that it's kind of like our account at this point, and it's been through these eras, right? And it's not necessarily that I'm the fake one or he's the real one. It's just kind of like where you look at it on the timeline.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
sick. That's a crazy concept. Mike, what do you think about that?
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like we have joint ownership of the account at this point. Like we're both Police Mike, just in different eras, and it's cool to think about it that way.
Yeah, we are Police Mike. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cult of
we
Police
all are
Mike.
Police Mike.
I had heard rumor. That the Police Mike account had been sold actually to to a third
Um,
party.
so that was stupid of me, honestly. That was completely my fault. I didn't sell it, first of all. It was as soon as I got exposed, it was like, look, I could change the name on the account. I don't care. This name isn't what defines the person behind the account. That was kind of my thought process behind it. It wasn't showing that like, oh, just sell the account, let someone else be the new Police Mike in a new era. It was like, all right, just it's whatever.
So do you guys still technically own it now? Did you guys get it back?
We don't have the name Police Mike 55, but we have the actual account.
So are you guys in touch with the person who owns the name?
No, I have no idea who has it.
I'm not sure either.
Yo, third Police Mike, if you're out there, reach out and we will do a triple interview. We will do a
God.
three times Police Mike interview. That is
That third Police Mike's got to make a name for himself, though.
yes. In 3 years, we will do a triple interview. That'll be the
That would be
third
awesome.
anniversary, or not third anniversary, but it would be double. Whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyways, if you're out there, hit me up on Discord. But so now I want to know from you guys what both of your opinions on the future of 2B2T in general is, the culture, the server, all that good stuff.
Okay, I can go
Probably a better
first.
question for Mike because I'm not really familiar with the culture.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
mean, I'm not super familiar. The only exposure I really get to it is watching Fitz videos. I mean, say what you want, they're pretty entertaining sometimes, and of course, he makes everything super dramatic. But I kind of like that. I like that part because in reality, it's a Minecraft server, but he makes it sound super cool. So I'm not like super knowledgeable about how the culture is now, but just from my perspective, it just seems like with like how the queues are and then all these exploits and stuff, they're kind of scaring people away. I know the no-com exploit and all that. I don't know. It just seems like people don't really feel safe on the server anymore because so much has been exposed. I think that it'll always have a lot of players, but I think it's not going to last. It's not going to keep the popularity it has forever. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of declining a little bit. I mean, not everything nothing really lasts forever. So I think it's really had its time, and I think there'll still be a lot of diehard players and all that, but I don't think it's gonna ever reach a peak that it did back in 2016 when all the YouTubers made videos about it. But I think the fact that all the history about it has been so heavily documented is amazing because there's so much history. And like I tell my friends in real life about it. Like I tell a lot of my friends, like, hey, watch this video. It's about me. And this is a really cool server. And you can watch this guy's other videos. And I just think it's a really awesome thing. And I think it had its time. But I think just Minecraft in general, people will lose interest over time. But yeah, that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, no, I like actually what you're saying with that. So my opinion with that, it's every big YouTuber has kind of already used Tubi as clickbait to the point where people know the server by name. They know when they say when they say anarchy server, people that are familiar with the Minecraft content already link it with Tubi. It's not this. It kind of lost that value of this new concept of no rules. It's either you're on or you're not at this point, is how I look at it. People know it's there.
Yeah, I think kind of the novelty kind of wore off because
Yeah.
it's just people like, yeah, it's anarchy. Yeah, there's a lot of history about it, but
It's
I mean,
become
of
way too
course,
mainstream now.
Exactly.
yeah, I think just people got kind of desensitized to the idea of it because I mean, in 2016, when like millions of people who never heard about it before suddenly heard about it, it's such a new concept and it was so interesting, and there's all these like wars and groups
Mhm.
and incursions and all that, and it's a lot of content to digest, but I mean, everything gets old after a while, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
would you guys say at this point they're kind of beating a dead horse, or do you think there's more content to kind of come from it, more eras to come?
Um, I think there'll always be content to come. There's always going to be events that's going to happen. Fit's always going to have content to post. There's never going to be a shortage. People, people on the server, I would say their main objective throughout start to finish from their lifespan on that server is to have their name mentioned in a Fit MC video. They want that kind of they want to be solidified in history in some sort of way. So, if someone kind of steps down from that throne of they're in someone that usually is making all these big moves on the server, if someone steps down from that position, there's always somebody hungry that will take that position from them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, there's so much like public attention to it. Someone's got to fill that role of being like
Exactly.
the person that does the big thing that surprises everyone. So I think, yeah, for a good amount of time, that's going to keep happening because it's still in the public. It's in the public mind, so people are still going to want to try to get fame from it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. You guys have any closing thoughts? Any statements you guys want to put out there about anything that's happened, anything I didn't touch on?
Um, no, I will say sorry to everyone that I did lie to. I don't think I ever did a formal apology or actually anything after I kind of got exposed. I personally never said really much. I think I apologized to like kind of the closer friends, but it really was embarrassing and I kind of just vanished. So I am sorry to everyone that did get affected in a negative way. If you didn't, then I don't care.
I was about to say, yeah, it definitely didn't affect me negatively. I mean, look, I thought you were a cool guy back then. I still think you are now. I don't think any of that changed it. I think it was honestly kind of a pretty baller move. So, anyone who thinks thinks it wasn't a baller move, stay mad. You wish it was you.
It is cool looking back too, especially what Mike and I did talk. And when I originally didn't want to do this interview, it was because I thought the original Mike was going to be like, dude, you are so cringe. This is like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like just going to be roasted in this interview. Then we kind of talked and we really did put into perspective like where that account stands on that server and what impacts we both had on it.
Yeah, and
And we got
I'm
some good
glad.
closure on it.
Yeah, I'm glad I let it kind of sit and let you guys kind of get to know each other a lot better afterwards. Because I feel like now it's like I'm having on friends, and if I had you guys back on then it would be a lot more. I don't know if I want to say hostile, but like very sensitive. Because I mean, it was a lot more closer to the time. I mean, now there's been a lot more time to reflect and kind of kind of come to terms with everything that happened and realize that yeah, that was funny, that was hilarious, and you know, like I said, if
Yeah.
you hate it, you're mad. You wish it was you. Like that,
Yeah,
it's just so cool, you know.
yeah. I'll be honest. Like when I first found out, I never felt like anger or hostility or anything like that. I mean, honestly, when I first found out, like I was just like, at first I was just like surprised, and then I thought about it. I was like, I mean, that's that's pretty funny that someone like went through that much effort and like they built like a new like persona off of just like a username in a Minecraft server. But like I never felt any kind of hostility towards Lucas or anything like that. Like I have a lot of respect, 100%.
And vice versa too. It's there was a lot of respect for you, and especially everything you did, because when you really look down on it, I mean that video is a culmination of everything we both did and kind of how that played out. And neither one of us could have been in a Fit MC video. Honestly, there was 2 million over 2 million views on this video over things people were interested in things that you and I did, and that really it felt really good knowing that I had like this kind of impact on the history, and I mean you as well. It's been cool, honestly, and that was a nice feeling after it sat in over maybe a long time. It took me a while for me to kind of look back and go, wow, like that actually kind of was cool. But for the first while, I hated every second of it. I didn't want to even hear the words to be, you know.
Yeah, he kind of thrashed you in that video.
He did thrash me. It was pretty humiliating, but I did have it coming.
Yeah,
No,
I can
I don't
definitely
think so.
sympathize with that, being humiliated by something you do on 2B and then trying to escape into a name change or escape into like, you know, changing your alter ego because you think that'll change, you know, what people think of what you've done, but it really just follows you. And the ultimate way to kind of conquer that embarrassment, that embarrassment you get right around when it happens, is to just embrace it, realize that it was hilarious, and realize that it had an impact regardless of how people perceived it, honestly.
Yeah, that's the best way to look back at it. And actually, another big reason I did leave is because, or it was getting kind of bad, is FitMC made that video talking about the Farlands and offering a $2,000 reward for, and he pretty much incited in that video, if you find the real police Mike, then you will get the cords to the Farlands. But people didn't know who the real police Mike was, but they knew who I was. So I got doxxed pretty hard, and I think they kind of went after me pretty heavily for a while there.
I
Hey,
didn't know
I,
that.
well, you know,
yeah,
Doxman is down now, so
yeah, that's
everyone
awesome.
has been freed. I'm free too. I was on there. I'm free now. For the most part, I don't know who else still has it, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. Uh,
Oh, I also got
police.
paid to get removed from Doxbin.
Oh wait, you paid to do that?
Yeah, and I put $2 with the Bitcoin on
Oh
accident in my
man.
wallet in like 2018. I checked like a month ago, and it has over $200 or something. It's like I think it's like actually like
Oh
187
wow, that's
from the
sick.
$2 I put in at that point.
Yeah,
Sorry, random,
I've
but
heard of people trying to do that and actually
it
succeeding
was
and
just
getting
an
it off.
accident.
So Police Mike, I have this question for you now, just based off of what Fake Mike just said. Do you have the cords to the Farlands? Like, is that a thing? Do you actually have that?
So I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out. So I should, but I've looked and I cannot find them
Yo, no
because
way.
yeah, so I know that I went there because there was an exploit where if you use FreeCam in like a third party client and you went into a single player world and went to any coordinates and then you were in FreeCam and then you joined 2B2T, it would teleport you to those coordinates. So I have a memory. I mean, I don't know if it's a false memory, but I do have a memory of being at like the far lands. And I thought I took a screenshot, and I've looked through my screenshots. It was on an old hard drive, and like it didn't transfer over like the app data folder or something. Like I've looked, like I do have screenshots saved from there, but I don't know if I missed it. But I've looked, like I even like DM Fit on like Twitter or something. I was like, hey, I'm looking for them right now, and if I find them, I'll DM you. And he was like, oh, I don't know if this is actually you, but if it is you, just let me know if you find them. Because I mean, $2,000, who doesn't want that? But yeah, I tried really hard. I could not find it, but I'm 95% certain that I did go there and take a screenshot. I just cannot find it.
And you have like no recollection of what direction you could have gone in, where you could have gone.
No, absolutely not. It's like one of those memories where it's just like one still frame of me being at the far lands, and that's it. Like, I do not remember anything besides that.
And those old hard drives, are they just corrupt? Are they gone?
No, I have it, but I just can't access the app data folder for some reason. It's like just like it didn't get saved, or I don't know. But
Yo, if there's any tech gurus out there, help my boy Police Mike, so we can find the far lands.
I wonder. I mean, with inflation, I hope I'm getting more than $2,000.
Yeah, surely it's gone up
These
by
gas
now.
prices.
Surely. Yeah, but that's sick. I had no idea. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate it. This has been a very meaty interview, a very good interview. It's given a lot of closure to the original one, I feel like.
Yeah, thank you very much. This was a great opportunity.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate
The
it.
pleasure is all mine, folks. All mine. And I think that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's been all. Signing off.